see you. Good old St Kilda forever. Yeah, of course. What about a song before you go? Good to see you, Ted. Lovely to see you. Well, there you go. Now, first up, I have an apology. You'll all have to go home. The sale fell through, which is very, very sad. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the show. It's lovely looking around and seeing these. My gosh, there you go. The people. Obviously, we don't care too much about them, but no, we do, of course. Many famous faces there. But as I look out on the audience, it's a very emotional time for me because I'm seeing faces of people that I thought had died. But it's great to have them back here. Tonight, that's the last thing we're going to do. We're not going to die with this particular television show because it's going to pay tribute to over 50 years of television from this 22 Bendigo Street in Richmond. I see immediately a gentleman over there to whom I owe so much, and so does Channel 9 in Melbourne. That is Mr. Peter Faiman, ladies and gentlemen. Producer directors are quite a rare breed. Norm Spencer, who was the first program manager of Channel 9 in Melbourne, was indeed a producer-director. And then, some years later, along came Peter. Studded in the mail room here. We have both, actually, at Channel 9, the male room and the female room. He was in the male room, and from there, he went into production. Graham Kennedy Show, Don Lane Show, Paul Hogan Show. Away from this particular place, Crocodile Dundee, he directed, the most successful Australian movie ever. He did a huge number of Logies, all the special events. He's a very special man. We're thrilled to have him with us tonight. Thank you, Peter. Peter, thank you. Again, this is the last hosting job that I hope you realise I've come a long way tonight to be with you this evening, from near oblivion. And it is terrific to be in this old studio again. And of course, the important thing is, for me, this will be the last hosting job that I do at Bendigo Street in Richmond. Against my better judgment, the producers wanted to show you a little bit of footage of my first comparing job in the studio. Have a look.
Hi, fellow Hi-Fi. Welcome once again to the Hi-Fi Club. It's nice to have you with us.
Hi, fellow Hi-Fis. It's nice to have you. The night that went to air, I got a call from John Michael Housen saying, "Join us, join us." Frank Thring told me a couple of days later, he said, "You're just that far away from us." Possum. You know, when you analyse television in Australia, of course, we're not the only network, and this is not the only commercial station in Melbourne. But when you go back on its history, 3 months into the station opening here, it was the #1 station in Melbourne and had the biggest audience of any television station in Australia, which is quite an achievement. We do 24 hours a day now, of course. We have done that for many years. But I'm wondering if you'd like to have a look at how we opened the station many, many years ago. Let's pose. I'm not doing this hosting alone, and I'm thrilled to be able to say that my co-host for this evening one of the major stars of Australian television, and a man who picked up the, one would say, the torch from people like Don Lane and Graham Kennedy and a whole range of sporting journalists to become the most, one of the most recognised faces in Australia. And he's going to have that face right beside my big face tonight. Please welcome Eddie Maguire.
Thank you, Bert.
Good to see you. Good to see you.
Thanks, Bert. I must admit it is a fantastic night for me, having watched you as a young boy coming through and getting to Channel 9 and to finally get to do a show with you on the very last night here at GTV is a fantastic thing. And ladies and gentlemen, we know that Graham was the king, but there's no doubt that the Crown Prince, the Emperor of GTV, the man who helped build this place and keep it alive, is this man. Please give Bert Newton a big round of applause and welcome to that. Thank you.
What did you think of the first comparing job? Hello. High fives. Welcome to the show.
Very good, that one, yes. I'm sure there's a few questions. I'm sure Paddy was just having a look back there as well.
Oh, no. Paddy is very aware of my sexuality, if she can remember. There's no doubt.
Let's have a look back. Bert's been here for 51 years. Let's have a little look back at some of the early days with Bert.
Good start to the evening, eh? Yeah, good,
Are you
good
sure?
start. Yeah.
You sure, Paddy? That's what we want to know.
What about the man standing beside me, Mr. Eddie Maguire? When he started out here in television in Australia, not only did he show a lot right from the start, he also looked just a little different to how he looks now. Just
There's been good and bad news following the reduction in interest rates. The reduction has resulted in a $21. The good news is that... Stop, thanks. The bad news for ANZ and National Australia back borrowers is that their cuts...
That was the first day. That was at Channel 10. I was 17 years of age and I was still at school and I thought I was on the next train back to Broadmeadows. But there's one thing from watching those two clips that I can tell you. Boy, we've both enjoyed some food over the last few years.
We certainly have. So how would you sum up your career in a few words?
It's been fantastic. A lot of fun, a lot of sport. But don't worry about my career. How would you sum up your career, mate?
In a few words?
Yeah. Your TV career.
Here's Graham, here's Don, here's Moira. Just about.
We've got a huge night tonight. Let's roll the tape and have a look at some of the great shows that have emanated out of here at GTV 9. And, gee, we've got some big ones coming up.
Certainly have.
Mate, some of the shows we're going to talk about tonight, we've got the Don Lane show, of course. We've got Graham Kennedy. We've got all the great moments. Before we do that, though, let's have a look at this. Look at these guys. The Sullivans. The wrestling, Mario Milano's a special guest here. Of course, all the great quiz shows. The footy show, there's Dern. Ernie and Denise, what a great combination. Great to have both Ernie and Denise and Pete Smith all here tonight. Bert and all his various shows. Young Daryl Summers. Daryl going through all the great years. And, of course, as we look back on the tremendous years of in Melbourne tonight, just some of the shows we're going to have a look at tonight, Bert.
Eddie, just one I'd like to pluck out of that footage there. A gentleman called Paul Hogan, who came from, well, I was going to say Oblivion, but he didn't actually. He came from the Sydney Harbour Bridge. And all of a sudden, he became a national icon, it would seem, you know, it just seemed overnight. It wasn't quite like that. But I think he brought a brand of comedy to Australian television. Not the same as Graham Kennedy's, but just as Graham was so individual, so was Paul Hogan. And here's an indication of this great man's work.
Give us 60 seconds, and we'll give you the works. Religion. Art. Food.
I'll just have a look at the toilet to make sure they use Harpic.
I might be fat, but I'm not dumb.
Exercise. And sports. The great outdoors. How to attract the opposite sex.
It's like finding out Muhammad Ali's a poofter.
That awkward first move. Boobs. Bottoms and bums.
That's all we got. Good night, viewers. Thanks for watching.
You know, in this very building, Paul first appeared nationally on Australia's New Faces, which was a collection of artists who'd won their local New Faces in each of the states of Australia. And before doing that, I was comparing it at the stage and live show to wear. And about 2 hours before the show, the producer, Gary Stewart, who indeed may be here tonight, wonderful producer, he came in and said, "Bert, do you feel like having a long chat tonight because I'm dropping an act?" And the reason was he was a comedian, as Gary explained, and he wouldn't rehearse his material at rehearsal. Well, of course, we realised after that just one of the reasons why Paul was always successful, because the last thing you do is rehearse your comedy at the rehearsal because you miss out on the crew laugh and also anyone who happens to be in the studio. He came back about an hour later and said, "I'm going to take the chance." And the reason that he wouldn't rehearse particularly was his whole act was devoted into sending up the 3 judges who were sitting there. Interesting thing is, he didn't win that show. He won my Encouragement Award. He ran second in the show itself. Mike Willesee and his manager to become, John Cornell, saw that particular appearance. They bought him for A Current Affair, and he did a weekly or maybe twice weekly spot on the whole thing, and then it rolled on from there. Huge contract with Channel 9, and that was the story of the beginning of Paul Hogan.
Yeah, and what a story it is, of course. Not only that, but then going on all the ads he did, the commercials overseas, promoting Australia, even the old Winfield ads, Crocodile Dundee, which we mentioned Peter Faiman's involvement in before. And John Cornell and Delvine were going to be with us tonight. John's done his back, actually. They're sitting up at Byron Bay, so special hello to John Cornell.
You were married to
exactly. You better believe it. And, of course, the other thing was that Paul was able to do was achieve what so many entertainers in Australia have wanted to do, and that is actually have a problem with the tax department. He made that much money, but he's been lucky enough to get through it now. So hello to Hogs overseas, and hello to Delvine and John. As we go to the break, let's relive some of the great moments of Paul Hogan at Channel 9.
That Welsh rarebit smells nice, Oaks.
Welsh rarebit? I ain't Welsh rarebit. Trying to get me underpants dry.
Incredible display of courage, stuntman extraordinaire Leo Wanker risks his life as he takes on the wall of death.